Sister Melon, we back in the building. I want to say peace to all of the children. Hoping they grow up into making some millions, realizing it's just my opinion. So if you happen to be tuning in, get wrapped up in the feelings. So, I'm redoing this one. I did another one, but I didn't like how it came out. I was experimenting. I was trying to do a drink champs and mess around and got a little too drunk. And thinking about it, man, I really want to, give this video its due diligence, because it's very important. It's very important. For one, I want to say, uh, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. May the artistic guys be embracing you. May your creative energy work to serve the creativity of Black people and people in general on this planet we call Earth. Now, getting right to it. Before we even get into it, I think it's a couple of things. Like I always like to peel stuff off from the surface that nobody's really paying attention to. It's what they call the proverbial elephant in the room. It's the element in the room. The elephant in the room is the element in the room, right? So I think some of this, the whole thing of recasting, not recasting T'Challa, killing his character off, and giving the mantle to his sister, is feminist driven. It has feminism all in this agenda. The seeds are all there. Some people say, our women should lead us, Black women should lead us. And you had this whole civil war between Black men and women. It's been in, it's been in a number of films that came out. It was in this Black Panther film, the last one, right? With Okoye and Wakabi, right? So it was there too. You saw it in Maya Randy's Black Bottom. You seen it in the Madam C.J. Walker film. And then, you see these dynamics here kind of putting the Black man and the Black woman in trivial positions, and here's my thing with that. When it comes to who should lead Black people and this and that, I mean, for one, we're in this boat together. If somebody's talking about Black men, they're talking about Black women too. They ain't too far from talking about your ass too, and vice versa, right? And as far as who should lead us, people should lead us that assume the position, and we shouldn't ego trip with that. The most capable people and the ones that's willing to assume the position, whether that's men or a woman, men and women, right? So I think that's trivial. That whole thing is trivial, and it really don't serve no place in the storytelling world unless we're telling a story about that. So getting into it, equality is not killing off T'Challa to exalt Shuri. That's not equality. Equality is, Shuri get her own film too, and we keep the T'Challa character going, right? That's equality, right? But now, getting into it, right? The actual, should they kill T'Challa? The video is titled Recast Tchalla, right? So I feel like let's just get into this whole, respecting his legacy, right? Because I think it's backwards logic to think that you're respecting his legacy by killing off a character he worked so hard to bring to life. He had a lot invested in that character, so I'm just pretty sure like that he would want something that he invested a lot of his life energy into to stay alive, right? You know, and even in the tributes, you know, you let us know that he was diagnosed with cancer when he was playing the character, right? So he was dying playing this character, right? You know, so I can't see how he would want the character to die off because he died, right? And that's another thing too, right? It's like, um, film is a microcosm for our situations in America, right? Like film would tell you the psychology behind stuff if you pay attention. Not just the films themselves, but how they do the films, how they do certain characters. So that's a trope. Black people dying in films, black characters dying in films. Yeah, that's a big thing, man. I remember, it was one of the first movies Jim Brown played in. It was a big thing that he survived to the middle of the movie. Or I think they killed him at the end. It was a big thing of how long he survived in the movie. When they had Sweetback's Badass, it was a big thing that he didn't die in the movie, right? Fred Williamson said one of the reasons he couldn't get casted in Hollywood is because he had 3 wounds. He won all his fights. He gets the girl at the end if he won her, and you couldn't kill him. And you'd be surprised how much that's a big thing in Hollywood with black characters. Black characters are usually limited to the confines of reality. So that means in films about black characters, we can die and not come back to life. White people get to be Superman, get to overcome death, and if they do die, they're Obi-Wan Kenobi or something. Even if they do die, they've had enough amount of movies, right? It was, their death served the cause, or something like that. In black movies, it's a lot of tragedy and stress and torment, right? In a lot of black films. This is why people don't like slavery movies. But it happens in a lot of black films, if you trip. Characters are either devastated or destroyed or killed, right? So it's like my thing is like is why would you want to experience Chadwick Boseman's death twice? I would think, man, the character is a way to kind of keep him alive. Why would you want to experience that's sick? I don't want to experience the death twice in the film where people can live forever. That goes against storytelling, but see, that's the thing, man. Black Panther in movies like Django represented the black story becoming a part of film mythology. They never applied the mythologies of film to our story for the most part, If they do, it's a character in which it's insignificant that they're black, right? They just happen to be black. Like Blade just happens to be black. He could be a white character, you know. So the only the ways in which they allude to Blade being black is like stereotypes. When he's sitting up there injecting himself full of blood, and he's looking like a heroin addict, stuff like that. But Black Panther represented getting into a whole nother mythology. You know what I'm saying? The afterlife. They even had some Star Wars type stuff. Heroes, the hero's journey. the technology, right? Superhero, right? You know, Django represented a black man that couldn't be killed. He can get to kill all his adversaries and go save his girl. The same shit that Fred Williamson was talking about. So, you know, killing the character off makes him more mortal. It's like when you're going back to the same stuff. Um, and then, you know, before we move on from that, right? Uh, there's a couple things I want to cover with this. I'm trying to see in which order. But another thing too, right? Since we on the subject of killing off characters and that being a trope, think about this, man. The world of Wakanda, right? We get in the world of Wakanda, and already, what we see what we got three movies with the world of Wakanda involved in it, or somebody from Wakanda, Civil War, uh, Black Panther had his own movie. You got four movies, I guess. You got Endgame. You got the two Endgame movies. Think about this. 5 prominent men of Wakanda have been killed or are going to be killed. Think about that. Think about that, man. They getting used to killing black men in Wakanda. I'm talking about uh, like to me, I think it was a problem that T'Chaka got killed. You know, he's the original Black Panther, and they're not even talking about going back and doing um, prequels of T'Chaka. And T'Chaka got killed because of somebody else's story. You know, he didn't get killed within his own story. He got killed because he was a sacrificial. He was collateral damage. And like that was the black. That was a serious thing, man. That like his death was kind of underwhelming. He was the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? Like so you know they made Killmonger to where he can be a leading man. He got killed because they don't look like they don't have talks of bringing him back. They brought Loki back. Uh, Killmonger's father, and then Zuri. You know, the one that Forrest Whitaker played. He killed him. 5 black men. And if they killed T'Challa, that's 5. It's 5 black men that they had been killed off in this universe that have good, strong, have huge importance. You know, so you kind of see like how many men or people have been killed in the Captain America universe. Think about that. You know, so that's a just got to pay attention to it. They don't like to see our characters shine anyway, right? And uh, another thing too, right? I know where I want to go with this. Like somebody, like people are saying, especially some black women and black men. I think more people want the character recasted, but then people listening to that funny logic because the seeds are there. You know, you got to realize black people are used to our story, our story now to being a part of mythology. We're used to our characters dying in films. That's the mythology they give us, right? And the reason why this is important is because seeing is believing, right? So I'm not saying that if more black characters survive in films, it will result in us, having more confidence, but it'll help having more confidence as a people, because them Superman movies, Star Wars, and these help the psychology of youth, period. Black or white, but then they make them white with the intention of helping the psychology of white boys. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm inspired by Luke Skywalker as much as anybody, right? But the fact where race matters in is that when it's a character that's of your people, it helps just a little bit more, you know? So Man, I'm doing it again. And I ain't even, where was I? Yeah, let me see. Hold on. It was another point, strong point I wanted to make with this. But yeah, so that's the thing too. Okay, here we go with that. That's where I was going with. Is that so somebody was asking why is it important without even getting too deep, but getting complex, is that characters mean something to people. Like why do you think people were mad at Star Wars? Because of how they treated Luke Skywalker. They made him into a piece of shit and killed him. Like, you don't do that. Characters mean something to people. So here we got T'Challa that's barely had his own movie. And even in his own movie, he wasn't in it as much as the other characters. It was times when, when he got hurt, he wasn't even in the movie for a while. Right? That was something that was noted by some people who did a review on the film, right? You know, so Chadwick Boseman unfortunately dies, and now you want to kill off the character that we just started seeing. So it's like that's why it matters, right? Another thing too is because you always got to keep a pulse on the racial dynamics. But we want the character respected like the rest of the characters. All of the other superheroes have been recasted. If the character, if the person, God forbid, dies that's playing them, a character that's been around that's older than them, they're going to recast. Superman has been recasted, Batman, Spider-Man. I mean, we got Miles Morales, but I would never want him to kill Tony Park. I mean, Peter Parker. I would never want him to kill Peter Parker to make Miles Morales the main Spider-Man. He could be his own version. And this is what people don't get. People keep saying Shuri takes on the Black Panther mantle in the comic books, but that's only for a segment. She don't take over the Black Panther franchise. So I mean, so you would be kind of altering the Black Panther franchise. Actually, T'Challa doesn't die in the comic book. Shuri takes on the Black Panther mantle, right? And respecting him like you respect the other characters, just like Peter Parker is Spider-Man, Kal-El or Clark Kent is Superman, Bruce Wayne is Batman, and Matt Murdock is Daredevil. T'Challa is the Black Panther. I don't care if Shuri wear the suit, and it's like, man, y'all would never kill off Superman and Batman to make Superwoman and Batwoman movies. You would never do that. You get in their own movies, usually. So that's why it matters. We want the character respected like you would respect other characters. Another thing is that it actually supports the cause of Black people and Black actors to recast the character. So some things, man, it just reflects on who people are. Right? Are you the type of person that doesn't believe in passing the torch? I mean, Chadwick Boseman, in reality, can pass on the Black Panther mantle to another actor. Like, why would we want to give another Black person the opportunity? That's more the spirit of things of Black Panther, and that's ancestral. You take on the energy, man, to keep his work going. I'm gonna tell you what's insidious about this, and people aren't catching, right? Like I've been hearing people talk about it, but they're not really catching it. Like to me, the direction they're going is more disrespectful to Chadwick Boseman's legacy. Because if they kill off T'Challa, they're going to bring the character back. They're going to reboot the character. because of dollars. Eventually, they're going to do that, and it's like that would be undoing his work. Rebooting the character, redoing the character over again. That would be disrespecting his work. Instead of recasting him, let Chadwick Boseman's portrayal of him be a good entry into the film, or into a character that just lives on for ages. Right? I mean, if y'all really intend to like really make this like I mean, because this could be like Superman, where you just keep doing movies and movies about the character and the story and everything. But do they have a real interest in doing that? Like killing off the character subliminally is an indication that they up to the same old tricks. And see, the thing about it is, like what Fred Williamson said, it's a real thing, man. Because Jim Kelly, he did an interview talking about that. How they have an issue with black leads and especially black male leads in action roles. He said they have an issue with that. And I think they have an issue, period. Because just look at this, right? Now, you have had some black action leads. But trip on this. How many Latino action heroes do we have? And Latinos been in the country for a long time. We should have had one Latino crime fighter that speaks Spanish and English and is in Brooklyn, or somebody that I think we got Desperado, and they put somebody from Spain to play him. Antonio Banderas is a good actor, but he's from Spain. Trip on that. What Asian action heroes do we got? Jet Li and Jackie Chan from China. Most of their movies are in China. And then when Jet Li started doing movies in the United States, it was like a comedy or a parody. So this is definitely a society that doesn't like to share the creativity. And the reason why black people have more roles than other people is because we've been here longer than everybody else. So we're going to find a way in. We're going to be next in line, right? But even with us, it's like it's still bootsy. How they do us, or how we have to fight just to tell our own stories. Or you might have another black person whose imagination has been compromised by these people. That's why people want to see the character killed, right? Let me see, what else? Was there something else? Was there another point I wanted to make in this? Why we should recast the character T'Challa. Like they owe it to us. Like we need to stay on them to make sure that they're not on that they're not just up to their same old racism and prejudice. Because I think that may be the motive behind this. Right now, let's get to the person who I think they should recast as T'Challa. Right, let's get to the person who I think they should recast as T'Challa. He's T'Challa to me, man. I saw a video that had some good pics. They even said Derek Luke. I thought he might have been too old, but I thought about it. He looks youthful. Black don't crack. Derek Luke would be good too. He'd be perfect. But all this Hodge, man. That's T'Challa, man. Look at it. That's T'Challa. That's T'Challa, man. And, his three roles that I think kind of preparing for that kind of a step, or that show that he could do it. And it's not his NWA role, but his role in the underground. He was kind of a lead man, and he was kind of in a T'Challa-like position, whereas he had that conflict with another brother that was like a killmonger with his anger. Not necessarily his revolutionary vision. That was kind of different. But his anger, he was a wild card. And then, Aldous Hodge's character, he was more somebody that was on a moral compass. Him and dude was at odds, like Tchalla and Jaka, I think that's his name, right? So you got that role. He did well in that role. You got that role. I think uh, his role is Jim Brown because he showed he can have a seriousness about him, right? And he put on a little more weight. That's when he looked like Tchalla to me. I was like, that's Tchalla. I also seen a picture of him as Hawkman. I think he played Hawkman. And that's Horus. That's a representation of Horus. But he looked like Tchalla as Hawkman. He just looked like Tchalla with wings. That is Tchalla. And then King of the Hill. I didn't like the direction that they went with the character, but as far as what he had to do and how what he had to portray, he showed he can play a leadership role and be suave in his decisions. And he was a DA, so he was a DA in racist as Boston. So he had a leadership position in Boston. And he was somebody that wanted to buck the system. So he was defiant, and he was all he wasn't just a house Negro. He was kind of defiant. But he also had, he had that keenness that a lawyer has. And I thought, looking at all of that, and when I seen him as Jim Brown, I was like, man, this dude can play Tchalla. He can play Tchalla, man. And it'd be great for him, great for his career. I think he can, hey, man, God bless the dead, but I think he can be better than Chadwick Boseman. He looked like Adam BC Jr. He looked like a Nigerian. So I think he can do it a little better. And he got a nice, karate body. Not to be looking at no homo, but yeah. So Isaiah with John David Washington, he would be good, but he's a little too small to me. Derek Luke would be perfect. Elin Noah will be pretty good, but he needs some more roles. And I think it was somebody else they brought up that I thought, the guys that I look at though that they brought up. And Nate Parker would be good, but he got that controversy on his jacket. But Elin Noah, Derek Luke, John David Washington. I think it was somebody else they brought up. Those three. But my number one pick is Aldous Hodge. That's the next Black Panther. He should be, man. I see it. I just see it. Yeah, and I think I covered pretty much everything. Another thing too is narrative wise, people were bringing up this good point too. And it's just I want them to get the Black story right. Get the Black story right. Get storytelling right. Shuri wasn't built up to be the warrior type in the film. She had to put on them little things to shoot out, to be formidable. Where somebody like a Koye is bad without a weapon. Nakia, I mean, if you was gonna choose a female, to me, like that's sabotaging of the story right there. It's like I know she was popular, but y'all just taking anybody and put them, whether it fit the story or not. And it's like y'all just doing anything, and then just trying to find a way to just tank the whole project and not do no more, put no more money into that, because y'all don't want to tell them stories anyway. Because narrative-wise, that's just like doing anything. And it's a lot of people that don't understand storytelling. And the only thing that'll save it is if the dumbing down of people. But over time, people know when they get bad stories. over time. You know, your subconscious tell you, right? Everybody don't know storytelling, but you know when you watch the story if it was gratifying or not. And even though more people are getting dumbed down, you know, like, cause some people love the Tupac movie. Some people love that, but it's enough of a divided audience to where it's like it's not the same as like, let's see, what movie did everybody enjoy? Like Dolomite. There was a lot of people enjoy Dolomite, but that's a bad example. But you know, like Star Wars or something like that. I'm trying to think. Coming to America when it came out. I'm trying to think of a more like the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? Like the not the last end game, but the one before that, or the Days of Future Past. Man, everybody was like, you know, yeah, maybe you had a few, but everybody was on board. Was like, man, this is right. Uh, you know, you saw the reaction to the Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian. It's not a divided fan base. You know, So when you got a divided fan base, most of the time, man, that's an indication the storytelling is off. Storytelling is off, man. With that, man, it's the million we out of the building.